Welcome back to my kitchen sewing studio. Today we are going to try our hand at stretchy fabric sewing. I'm very new to this. I have sewn a pair of track pants a long time ago, but I really just winged it. I didn't follow any practical tips or advice. I didn't probably use the right sewing needle. I probably didn't use the right stitch. Therefore, they didn't last the longest, but they did turn out. I have like a little bit of confidence that this will be okay, but also I'm kind of daunted to see if we can actually make this work. The pattern I'm going to be using today is the Saga Sweater by Slow Morning Studio. It seems pretty straightforward. There's only 5 pieces, I think, to the pattern, which makes me feel less daunted for my first kind of official stretch fabric project. I did spend a lot of time over the weekend watching YouTube videos and looking up what I need to make sure that my stretch fabric project goes as planned. I feel hopeful. I feel a little nervous that they won't turn out quite as I want or hope, or if I get frustrated, but we're gonna give it a go. I had a set of bed sheets, if you watched my fall making plans, that we recently bought like a jersey cotton bed sheet. So I had this huge giant king size top sheet to work with, and I thought this is really cool, lightweight knit fabric, and I wanna be able to wear it as a shirt. It's kind of like an oatmeal heathered gray. It is cotton and just feels comfortable and breathable. So I'm going to make one of those. I've cut this out already. And I'm going to also try and make one out of this really stretchy, slippery fabric, which I'm more nervous about. But I love the color of this. It's like a periwinkle purple blue. And I just really want to see if I can make this happen in this color because I do like it a lot. It'd be great to have both a neutral and a vibrant color in my closet with this pattern. The one thing I did want to mention is that I cut these out ahead of time because I used my projector for the first time. So if you are new to projector sewing and cutting out patterns with a projector, I get how daunting that feels. I was so overwhelmed because I don't have any fancy sewing studio. I don't have a projector mounted to the ceiling. I don't have a like short throw, one of those really expensive projectors. I got a really affordable one, and I just want to show you how I set it up and how I use it. So let's go watch that for a little bit and I'll walk you through cutting out the pattern pieces. For this project, I decided to try something new. I decided to cut my pattern pieces directly from a projector setup instead of printing and tracing them at home. So I'm using a pretty affordable projector that I found on Amazon. It is definitely not fancy. It's not a short throw model, but I wanted to see if I could make this work without investing too much money up front or putting in a permanent fixture in my home. Right here, you can see I've got it mounted on a tripod. It's on my kitchen island. And then I'm using my laptop to run the software called Pattern Projector Software, which is amazing. And I wouldn't be able to do this without the software. The software basically lets you open your pattern file and project it straight onto your cutting surface. A lot of patterns now actually will include a project-specific file, which is really nice. But even if they don't, you can just use the regular at-home printed version to piece together the PDF in the software. Some patterns also have layers built in, so you can toggle off the sizes that you're not using and just project your own, which is incredible. So that will make all the difference in the world for being able to see your lines and cut accurately. It makes things just a lot easier and keeps things clean while you're cutting. This one didn't have layered projector files in it, but it is an oversized boxy fit, so I wasn't too worried about the accuracy of those details in this particular pattern. If it was something I was making that was really accurate, I think I would need to make sure it had toggled layers so that I could really make sure I'm cutting the right size. I'm cutting out a size 38 of the Saga Sweater. So yeah, accuracy still did matter, but a few millimeters off here or there won't make or break the fit of it. The first step is calibrating your projector to make sure that the scale is spot on. You're going to want to use the grid and make sure that you measure the scale square. So usually patterns will have a square that's say like 1 inch or 4 centimeters. It's really important that you measure this on the projected surface to make sure that the scale is correct. After that, I'm just laying out my fabric and I'm going straight into cutting directly from the projected lines. No tracing, just following the projection carefully with my scissors. It's kind of easier to do it at night, but you can also adjust the projector software settings so that it's dark mode or light mode. For a low budget setup, this is not perfect by any means. I think it could be crisper and brighter, but for simple, looser patterns like this one, it's honestly a bit of a game changer. It saved me so much time compared to printing a pattern together, taping it together, and then tracing it and then cutting it. If you're curious, I'll link the project software and the projector below. It's a really fun way to speed up your sewing process if you can get the hang of it, and I think the learning curve will be easier next time. I just finished rethreading my serger. It was like acting a little wonky. Some parts of it were not threaded properly. I'm gonna keep the cream colors on here so that it's just neutral inside. And I did find in my Husqvarna needles a stretch needle. One has like a jeans one, a twin one, and a stretch one. And I've seen stretch fabrics being sewn with a twin needle, but I think I'm just gonna use one of these stretch needles and hope that it works fine. From what I've learned, you need a ballpoint or stretch or jersey needle to put in your machine. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch this out on my machine now so that we can get started on some test fabric. So we just need to switch this out. So my understanding is that these stretch needles are not as sharp, and I can actually already attest to that. They're ballpoints, so they kind of like separate the fabric out instead of ripping through the fabric, which is what a regular kind of universal needle does. This one's much sharper, like it catches my skin. This one is less sharp, so it just kind of separates. So that's good news. That means hopefully it should work. And they're nice and snug. Okay, so I have tested out some zigzag stitches on my machine. I'm just a bit torn now because I also did a serged version, putting two pieces together. And I obviously like the finish of this better. It looks nicer. From what I've been reading and researching, serging knit or stretch fabrics together is the best option, and the zigzag stitch is if you don't have a serger. I think I might just wing it with the serger since I have it and I love the serger. So I think we're just gonna give it a go. I have the pattern instructions open. I think I'm gonna start with the oatmeal fabric first because I think it will be easier to sew. The first step here says to put the right sides of the fabric together and do the shoulder seams. And there is a wrong and right side, I think, this fabric, but I don't think it really matters. It's really important, I guess, with stretch fabric to make sure that the grain is followed with the pattern piece. That's one thing that I do pay attention to in regular fabrics that I use, like cottons or linens or anything like that, but maybe not as critical as if it is stretch fabric, because you want the stretch to be stretching in the way that you're gonna put the clothes on. So I think that's really kind of an important step in figuring out when you're cutting your pieces to follow the grain. We are ready to serge. I don't know, let's go. I think that worked, and you know what I just realized is I think that's the first time I've ever used the serger as a sewing machine. That was the first time I've used it to attach two pieces together, I believe. Okay. I think this is pretty good. Next, we are lining the sleeves with the side seam. So I'm gonna match up the center of the sleeve with the center seam of the shoulder here. So I'm just gonna pin these and then I'm gonna serge them together as well. I have decided that I'm gonna do these in sequence. No, in tandem, in parallel, together. Efficiency. Okay, so I've already done the shoulder seams and pinned the sleeves on top of this oatmeal colored one. And I'm realizing that this would actually probably be easier for my brain to do the periwinkle one at the same time, just so I don't have to go back and follow the instructions again. I think it'll be more efficient for me to actually do them in tandem together. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take this periwinkle one now and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna pin the shoulder seams together and then I'm going to pin these sleeves on and then I'm gonna serge the sleeves on as well to both of these and get them both to that point. Then we can continue on from there to do the side seams. Okay, so I attached the sleeve to the body of this first one and I released the knife on my serger, which I don't ever do on my serger. I always have the knife engaged to trim the excess fabric as it's serging the end or the seams together. But when you're attaching into a piece, so this is going into the body, I think it makes sense to not have the knife engaged so that I didn't cut into the body fabric. I am done putting the sleeves onto the body, and two things. One, I am now listening to the Telepathy Tapes podcast, and wow, it's mind-blowing. And if you've listened to any of these or you do listen, I want to hear about it in the comments because I need someone to talk to about these tapes. Next, I want to talk about my serger. So I bought this Brother serger. It's the Brother Lock 1034D. I think a lot of hobbyists have it. And I bought it on Facebook Marketplace used years ago. And did I think I needed one? Not necessarily, but have I been obsessed with my serger since I've had it? Yes. I think that you don't need a serger to sew really great handmade pieces, but I just kind of want to say how nice it is to have one. And now, especially since I'm using the stretch fabric for the first time, it's just like, it's come together so easily and seamlessly, knock on wood, like no issues. And I think that I would have been fine with my zigzag stitch, but I would have had to like been a little bit more finicky. I just feel like there's more room for error. The serger has been phenomenal. The seams are great. It feels durable. The inside looks clean and tidy, and I don't know, I'm just obsessed. I'm just here to advocate that if you've been thinking about wanting a serger and you're not sure, I have no regrets about getting it, and to check on like Facebook Marketplace or check the used marketplaces to get one that someone's not using, because they're really kind of like longevity there is great, and they are so versatile. So let's iron these like you're supposed to. I'm gonna iron out all the seams. And yeah, we're almost done. These pieces come together quick. Ironing in my kitchen on my counter. No, I don't suggest doing that. Our next step now is to put the garment together right sides facing, so it's inside out basically. And we're going to clip or pin the arm together and then down the side seam so that we can serge that all together and basically connect the whole body so that the sleeves are connected and the body's connected. I'm going to use these clips because I like them better than sharp pins. And I'm going to do this on both sleeves, down both sides, down both pieces. These telepathy tape episodes are so cool, and I don't know, I'm just enjoying listening to something a little bit different than my regular like crime podcasts. These are really coming together fast, which is kind of nice. So I'm thinking that this is a really good project or pattern to grab and try if you're new to stretch fabric, because it's just simple pattern pieces, and the construction of it is really easy. The instructions are very clear and easy. There's nothing complicated to them. So I feel like you could definitely do this as a beginner to stretch fabric like me. I have pinned the sleeves and the side seams of both shirts. I am getting kind of hungry, and I think I might take a little small break, grab a snack, grab some lunch, and take the doggos for a stroll. I'm back. I'm going to serge now across the sleeve, down the side seam on both sides of each shirt, and see where we land with that, because I think after that we're going to be doing all of the finishing touches. I've engaged the knife again because we're working on a side seam that is fine to cut into, so I'm going to keep that engaged while I clean up the edges of the sleeve and side seam of these shirts. I have finished sewing the seams on the oatmeal kind of shirt. I found it tricky to go along the serged edge of the arm to the side seam, so that part was like a little tricky for me to maneuver, but I managed to get it and secure it, which is okay. The Saga Sweater allows for 1 centimeter seam allowance on all attachments. And so when you're using the serger, that's what can be kind of trimmed off. So have I been following that exactly? No, I have not. But that is what you can essentially trim off with the serger, because you're basically stitching right to the edge. So if you were sewing this with a zigzag stitch, you do 1 centimeter in to have a seam allowance. Just something to keep in mind, I guess, if you're serging stretch fabric versus sewing it. Done the side seams, done the sleeves. And I think I solved my own problem with the pivot. So what I did was I serged down the sleeve, and then when I got to the end of the sleeve and I was pivoting into the body, I turned the blade off. So I disengaged the blade at the pivot, and then I engaged it again down the side seam, and that seems to have solved my problem. There's no holes, there's no weirdness, everything lines up well, so I'm hopeful that that all worked as it should have. Now what we're gonna do is the neckline. This is what I'm most nervous about. Stretchy fabric, bias binding neckline makes me a little nervous. So for the necklines, what I'm doing is I'm going to fold the neck binding in half, and I'm going to stitch across at the seam allowance to connect it, and then I'm going to iron the neck binding in half. Okay, I probably need a tighter zigzag stitch, but it's a zigzag. Okay, another zigzag stitch, which helps the stretch, and I'm going to go iron these seams open. Okay. I am just dividing up the necklines into quarters. So basically we are trying to find 4 equal parts on the neckline that we're going to align with the neckline of the shirts as well. So we're going to do this first here and then align them to the shirts and then put it on. I have the necklines pinned to the neckband and I'm going to overlock them in a second, but first I'm going to zigzag stitch them on just because this is a tricky kind of like detail part. I want to use the sewing machine first and then I'll overlock the edges after I've sewn it together. It worked. I might do a top stitch to hold the seam down once I overlock it, but I will see if that will make sense. But for now, let's go on to the blue one. The blue one was a little trickier. So the instructions say to actually like stretch the neckline with the neckband when you're sewing it. So you're not actually supposed to like pull or stretch the fabric when you are sewing with stretchy fabric, but with this particular neckline, you were meant to stretch it so that it kind of pulls in, which is what it's done, and that's fine. That's kind of like supposed to be what happens, but this one just looks more stretched than the other one does, but I think it's fine. I think it's just like a different vibe, and I think once I iron it and overlock it and maybe top stitch it, it will be perfectly okay. I think it's worth noting that you should be very careful because you are supposed to trim the seam allowance of the neckline and neckband, but when you're overlocking, just being super mindful because I feel like I could easily cut into the neck of this piece and that would be very sad, but just be very cautious that nothing's in the way. It worked! I'm so impressed with myself and the pattern. This binding was a lot less scary than I thought it would be, and the ironing seems to have helped the seam lay flat. Overall, I'm just really pleased with how the neckline turned out, and stretchy binding, stretchy necklines aren't so scary after all. Another successful neckline. This one I'm considering again a small top stitch. I think I will do it on this one just because the thread's so close and the seam at the back seems to want to flip out. So I think I will do just like a small top stitch on just this one right now. Okay, I'm set now to do the hemming of the sleeves and the bottom of the shirt. So what the pattern suggests is to serge the edges, fold them over 2 centimeters, and then top stitch on top. So I think that's what I'm gonna do because it just seems the easiest, and it'll be the most professional, I think, in the inside to have that hemmed edge. And so I'm gonna do that on both of these sleeves, and then both of the sleeves of the blue one, and then along the bottom of the entire shirt. Tip, I think if I could have gone back to redoing this, I would have serged the end of these before I attached the sleeves together when it was just a rectangle. So just a note, if you are making this pattern, that it might be worth serging the edges of the sleeves first because it's hard to do it when they're attached in a circular form. Time to iron this up 2 centimeters. Probably should measure, that's the right thing to do. All right, 2 centimeters. I'll just make sure that I do that all the way around. I'm gonna do this all the way around both shirts. Time to sew the hems, and then we're done. This is the last step. I'm on like episode 5 now of the telepathy tapes. Talking about the hill, if you know, you know. So fascinating. I've finished the shirts, and now it is time to just iron the edges, trim all the the little threads everywhere, and then I'm gonna put the tags in. So I got some tags, which I'm very excited about for sizing. I think I'm gonna put a large in these ones just because they are gonna fit really oversized. And then I also got some threads and Thrift tags, and on the back it says use happily, wash gently, and pass it on when you're done, with a little heart. So I'm excited to start using these. I haven't used them on any project yet. I'm gonna put these into the back of the shirts, and then I'm going to show them to you. I'm gonna try them on and show them to you. I'm done. Let me try them on for you. 1 second. I am pretty obsessed. I need to iron the neckline a little bit better because I didn't iron it, and it needs to just sit a little bit flatter. But aside from that, I also should mention that I did do a second top stitch. So I did the hem, and then I did another top stitch along each cuff and along the hem, because I did it along the neckline too, only on this one. On the blue one, I did not do a top stitch because the seams just laid flatter. So cute. It's just really a nice, cozy, oversized fit. I think I'm gonna really love this throughout the winter and the fall. You can wear it. I'm probably gonna wear it with like tights. I can see this being really cute with tights, and I love the oversized fit of it. You could also do like a little tuck. I'll show you. So you could totally wear this with jeans and just kind of do a little tuck on it, and still gives that really nice oversized fit. The material was a good pick. I'm really glad that I did get some use out of this. Was a top sheet. Now it's a shirt. So let me try on the other color for you so you can compare. I am future Danielle because I filmed this segment with this color and I realized the entire thing was out of focus. So it's a few days later, but that's okay. Nonetheless, this is the blue periwinkle color that I am also obsessed with. It's so comfy. The material is just so soft and stretchy and silky smooth, and I'm just really liking this color as a contrast to the neutral one that I made. Overall, huge success. The Saga Sweater pattern is a really incredible beginner-friendly pattern if you're looking to get into stretch fabric sewing, and I would highly recommend it if you are looking to just kind of dip your toes in, because again, the pattern pieces, it's important to be accurate, but it's oversized, so it's not incredibly accurate. There's not an overwhelming number of pieces. It's okay if you have a little slip up here or there, and I think you could really get away with doing it with like a zigzag stitch or a serger and be fine with either. I'm really excited about this pattern and having these in my closet now. I hope you enjoyed walking through the Saga Sweater pattern with me, and maybe you'll go make your own. Thanks for being here. Bye!